So I'm going to nerd out a little bit here. Have you ever seen the movie Last Samurai or The Last Samurai with
Yes.
Tom Cruise?
Yes, I
Okay.
have.
So that's like one of my favorite movies. For those who haven't seen the movie, The Last Samurai is about a character played by Tom Cruise who in 1870 Japan was sort of brought in as an expert for military guidance to a modernizing Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up getting captured by these samurais. And then not knowing anything about the culture, he sort of gets to learn about the samurai culture and is totally won over and ends up fighting along their side, against the emperor's army. And then because of the valiance, he sort of wins over the emperor. And so like the movie is just, I think it's one of the best movies ever, but I'm fascinated by the fact that, him being from that low context culture is dropped into a high context culture, and he has no knowledge of the language, which after I thought about it, I'm like, that's actually not that bad of a thing when if you have no knowledge of the language, but you're dropped into a high context culture where things like traditions and practices and, verbal cues, he's able to sort of observe all these nuances of the culture before he actually learns the language, so that by the time he knows how to talk to everyone, he's already integrated into that culture. And then sort of like as he sort of moves from not being open to the culture to being more open to it, those practices that, the traditional samurai, it's part of their culture. It starts to heal his character. And so I just think it's phenomenal. And it's a great example of how cross-cultural communication, works in reality,
Yeah, and to use that example, actually, I mean, he is a perfect, or Tom Cruise's character there is a perfect example of how two cultures got combined and merged into a third culture, which he has become, because his sense of loyalty, the sense of honor, so he certainly maintained that. He just enhanced it with some of the traditional Japanese culture that fed into some of the characteristics that he already had, maybe not exhibited, but certainly had. And to your point, Zach, as well, sometimes, I mean, the language obviously is a huge part of communication, but being able to observe the nonverbal clues, being immersed in the culture, and just developing your own sense of what it is that the world means to people here. Yeah, so I think that's really important, and that's a backdrop of the language skills then in the case of this hero came a little bit later. And that's also to support the point that neither side is better or worse, neither preference is right or wrong. It's just the preference. And in our daily lives, we fluctuate between those tendencies and preferences from morning till evening. Yeah, so just think about yourselves when you are in a work environment, so you may be more task driven and more explicit and more low context than when you deal with clients who maybe are in Japan or maybe in the UK. Yeah, so you tend to shift your gear and be a bit more observant of the environment, of the nonverbal clues that the client is sending you, just setting the stage and reading between the lines a bit more. Then when you talk to your husband back home and he's from Austria, maybe you're switching back to a bit more of a direct communication style. And then you're talking to the kids and you're switching your style yet again. So it's all really about the sense of awareness and understanding that we are absolutely capable and are doing actively this style switching and the code switching going through our day-to-day activities. And it's not a separate skill that we have to acquire. We just have to be aware of that skill and we have to utilize it, intentionally.